Hello, Professor. This is our presentation for technology in orthopedic medicine, specifically 3D limbs. And we're going to be talking about how technology creates prosthetics. Here's a little introduction. So, in the medical industry, there have been countless of inventions and discoveries that have benefited many people, such as the vaccination against polio, or even a vaccine that helps HIV. However, the most interesting and captivating invention has been the use of technology to create prosthetic limbs, such as the ones we're going to be talking about today. And this type of creation has helped many people worldwide, especially to those in need. As well, many non-profit organizations have teamed up and helped create various forms of prosthetics in order to suit the specific person. Not only does the 3D limbs help a person, but it could also go towards animals who have lost their limbs in either accidents or injuries. So in this one, we're going to be talking about how technology applies to 3D printing. So in the technological world, the greatest invention that was created, besides the internet of course, is a 3D printer. From this, many things could be built from a single cord or a blueprint in which the printer is in charge of executing it. The 3D printer was thankfully invented by Chuck Hall, who expanded the horizon for many manufacturers. However, the printer is mainly used in the medical industry, and the printer uses technology in a way in which it is able to turn a liquid into a solid solely based on ultraviolet light. The whole process of 3D printing relies heavily on the blueprint of a certain object, and by this I mean that the computer has to submit some sort of plan or specific requirement of how an object is supposed to be built. Through this, the printer uses tiny layers of specific plastic, or sometimes it uses a specific type of molecule in which it melts down and hardens to the shape, and it hardens based on ultraviolet light. Afterwards, the object might be trimmed down or even polished, or sometimes even sand to give it a matte effect. But also, the object could just be done in which that certain plastic gives it the color. To further continue our topic on technology through 3D printing, basically the creation of a 3D printer has led to numerous things such as prosthetic limbs, project drafts, animal prosthetics, organs, even jewelry. However, the most common use is medical instruments. Through this, I mean is that the medical industry tends to use a 3D printer in order to create prosthetic limbs or even organs. For example, I know that most hospitals tend to use a 3D printer in order to make a model of a prosthetic limb for a certain patient to see if whether that would be the correct size or even fit for that person's limb disability. And through this, they are able to kind of make a small model for them to test it out. And usually, this way is a pretty inexpensive and good alternative to a metal prosthetic. As well, it is much softer on the limbs, on the disabled limbs. Yeah.
Over the course of the years, it is clear that 3D printing has gained momentum. Some few statistics about 3D printing is that from 2010 to 2018, there has been an increase in how much funding there has been for 3D printing research. To be more specific, it's been $800,000, almost $1 million. This just goes to show how people are trying to innovate and make sure this type of technology works to the best. And then also the market of 3D printing, so buying and selling, it is projected to increase by 200% over the course of the years till 2025. these trends or statistics that I just shared to you clearly have an impact on how the 3D printing technology can be used to help people. There's a organization called Enable, and what they focus on is making prosthetic hands for people. So currently, as here it's demonstrating that in 2013 they had 5,400 members, and with that they were able to produce 1,000 prosthetic hands. But as 3D printing grew and more resources and technology came, there was a lower cost to how they can 3D print this, and there's no cost to the hands that they make. So every person who receives a hand from them, it's all free. They don't charge anyone. And so with the lower cost, it's projected that in the next 2 years, they would be able to produce 9,000 new hands. So that really goes to show how this growing industry and technology are really having an impact on how we as people can help others. One person that they helped was Kieran, and he just shares a story, and he talks about how he's so grateful that he was able to receive a hand because now he could play with people and just do the normal things a person would do, like pick up a ball and open the fridge and carry a glass of water. So this new technology is really helping people just enjoy the little things in life, and goes to show how far people like us can make a difference in everyday life for others. Yet, in other countries, most likely third world countries and countries where there's still more development being done, people aren't able to benefit from this growing market. From this table, we can see the difference between first world countries and third world countries in terms of affordability, access, awareness, and acceptance. And these are just like categories that really show how third world countries um, struggle with this new type of technology, and it really paints a red flag for people because there are 50 million amputees in the world that are living in those types of countries that are in third world countries. So it really shows how much of a demand this new type of technology is in other countries. So it is up to us to make sure that we create those types of things for them. Currently, if someone does want to have a new leg or arm in a third world country, that process is very labor intensive and it takes a few months to complete. And once they have the finished product, it even just helps a little, doesn't really help a lot, and limits their mobility. So, so it's clear that here in the United States we have kind of mastered the way of making these types of products. So I believe that we should try to integrate this into the lives of third world countries.
This is our Works Cited page, and there's 5 websites that we use, and they are all labeled correctly through LA citations. And yeah. Our members of this presentation were Leslie Perez and Isai Hipólito. Leslie was in charge of being a researcher, team leader, and organizer, as well as an editor, while Isai was a researcher, a team leader, and an editor. We both had separate jobs, but in the end we both came together and helped put this presentation together.